This is the social media for dOrg builders, the upskilling workshop. First, I wanted to begin by explaining very briefly what are our social media objectives as dOrg. Well, the first objective is connecting with potential clients. As we know, this is what keeps dOrg going. This is the fuel that makes us keep the machine running. So yeah, we think that via social media campaign and with engaging content, we can eventually connect with potential clients and develop business plans and partnerships and whatnot. So this is the main objective for us when it comes to how we use our digital media channels. But it's not the only one. It might be the most important because without clients and partnerships, we just wouldn't exist as we are a service DAO. But we have also a couple of secondary objectives when it comes to social media. Number two is we use it as a recruiting asset. As you may know, it's extremely difficult to get people that are developing on the things that we usually need developers at when it comes to Web3 integrations and developing smart contracts and whatnot. So social media is a perfect tool to get in touch with these people and recruit them as builders, or maybe get them work on certain proposals or whatnot. So this is definitely the channel to get potential builders as well as potential clients. And the third objective that I wanted to point out as our social media objectives is to simply spread the word about dOrg, about who we are, what we stand for, and simply where we're aiming towards on the present and on the future. So yeah, the first is a business objective, the second one is a recruiting objectives, and the third one is simply a communicational objectives, which is like, well, who are we and what we're looking for and why we offer the services that we do and why we live in a better world, the technology that we're building little by little. So yeah, these are the three things that we want to achieve with our digital media strategies. So what are dOrg's digital communication channels? Well, we have 5 of them. Two of them are the main channels that we use, which are Twitter and Discord. Twitter, as you may know, we use it on a daily basis to communicate anything related to what we do. Discord is usually more of an internal digital channel, but it also can be used for people that aren't really builders or that are just interested in the DAO per se, so they can also join. And then on a more of a secondary level, we have the remaining 3 on this list. We have our LinkedIn, which we don't really use much, when it comes to posting content, which is going to change in the near future. We will be posting there just like we do on Twitter, but we do have a profile created, and it's a great tool right now. Also, if you're a builder and you get on our LinkedIn page, you can find a bunch of builders there to see who follows dOrg and connect with them. So you can also keep track of who's following dOrg there, and I highly recommend that. Then we have YouTube, our YouTube channel, which is used as an archive for a bunch of videos that we are uploading when it comes to tutorials, the workshops that we do, and different calls that are important and whatnot. So yeah, I highly recommend swinging by the YouTube channel and getting to know what we're doing and what we've done in the past, and also what some of our partners have been doing. I know that Polygraph has a few interesting videos as well, for example. Last, we have our Substack, which, as you may know, is used in our newsletter. That's the tool that we use. We deploy our occasional newsletter through Substack, and this is kind of the utility that it has. So I recommend, if you're interested if you're part or not of dOrg and you want to know a little bit more about the complex, pieces of media that we do, just go to our Substack and subscribe, and also check out what we've released in the past. So This DAO is pretty big and we have many contributors, but in the end you have to ask the question, who can post valuable content on all these 5 channels? The answer is very simple. It's you. Anyone can really post valuable content on our different digital media channels, and not only post content but also be rewarded because of said content if it's approved and posted in the end. And as an example of how you can get rewarded by posting valuable content, we have the Twitter reward system, which was a proposal made and passed and approved by everyone through voting. And it's 3 very simple steps. You propose Twitter content. It can be a tweet, a meme, a thread, or hosting a Twitter space, or really anything goes. And then we review it, and if we like what we see and we think it goes and it's aligned with our values and our vision of the content that we're posting, it will get uploaded and posted, and you will get rep. The amount of rep, it depends on how valuable and how complex the content is. For now, it's only official on Twitter, but it can be a proposal for any kind of content really. If you're trying to make a video or a newsletter entry for a Substack, you can obviously craft a proposal and it will be submitted to voting, and then you can get rewarded. And in the proposal, it can be specified if you want to be, or if you think you should be rewarded via rep or stablecoin or something else. Only when it comes to the Twitter content, that's the proposal already passed on everything, you get rep. But anything goes really as in a independent proposal for valuable content. So kind of to guide everyone, it's I wanted to pose the question like, what makes good content good? And it's also a very straightforward and simple answer, and it can have a million of answers. But I wanted to go back to the basics of what makes content attractive. And well, I went to specify 3 very key characteristics that it has to have. Number 1, it has to be valuable. It has to be attractive to the user. There has to be something that the user gains from it. Number 2, it has to be shareable. It has to have the quality, not only that it has to be attractive for the people that consume that content, but also that it can be an attractive experience for the user to share that content. That it's not only cool that I use it, but also cool the fact that I share it with someone, and that makes me score points with peers or with a group or whatever. When you come up with a good idea and you tell it, we get satisfaction from sharing that idea. Well, the same happens with content when it's good. And number 3, which is a very common mistake when it comes to traditional marketing, when it comes to content, that usually branded content is not user focused, is brand focused or product focused or even price focused. What you have to do is always focus the content on the user, and that is very related to point number 1, which is that it's valuable. If it's focused 100% of the user, it will make it valuable. We have to kind of let go of our ego as a brand or as an organization. And when we're posting content that has the function to go viral, it has to be focused on the user. That's why user guides, tutorials, and even memes are very useful when you're trying to get organic engagement and reach, because it's the user that makes the work of making it viral, because you're giving them something valuable. It can be as valuable as a tutorial, which helps me understand how to use something, and it can be as basic as a meme, which the value is to make me laugh and to keep me entertained, as well as make me want to share it with a friend and make him laugh. So those are kind of on a very basic scale, what are the 3 key components of making valuable and good content in order to reach organic engagement and reach. I wanted to share as well some examples of valuable content. The first one was a Stanford Lecture that was made by Ron and Ori, as you can see on the picture. And the name of the lecture is Beyond Bitcoin: Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, in which explains the whole objective and the principles and the origins and whatnot of DAOs. And it's very cool because you see dOrg in the same picture as Stanford, which, as you may know, is a very prestigious academic organization in the United States. So yeah, another example of valuable content, I wanted to make you see the contrast of a very serious piece of content with a very not serious piece of content, which is a meme, and to say that not one is better than the other, just that they are very different and they do and have very different goals. This is a meme that's extremely light and simple. It says nothing more to say, just happy Friday, hashtag Biddling, and it's Drake on a template that say I wouldn't mind. I don't want to go out with my friends tonight. I just want to spend coding all night, and it's relatable and it's funny and whatnot. And yeah, I wanted to propose this contrast because the variety of valuable content is extremely vast, and it can be very very different, and both can be useful, and both can be shareable, and both can be user focused. But not least, I wanted to share an entry on dOrg's occasional newsletter. This is on dOrg Substack, and it was the release entry that explains how dOrg launches this initiative named Good Morning, which would serve as a marketing and strategy arm to expand on Web3 development offering and whatnot. This was made by Ernesto on April 13th. And obviously it's cropped. This is just a screenshot. The entry is much more longer because this is what a newsletter is about. It's about like trying to make a much more robust piece of content versus maybe like a tweet, which has a very finite amount of characters. So yeah, this is obviously more robust than a tweet, and the reward would be also bigger. And it's very useful when it comes to software tools because usually you have to expand. You have to go to an extent and be very thorough, explaining all the parts of the tool. So yeah, like I said, these three pieces of content are very different, and they all have different roles, but they are different and not better one than another. It may be more complex to write, an entry of the newsletter than to craft a meme, but they can both easily coexist on a productive and valuable content ecosystem, right? So, in order to give you as well as a guide on what do we as dOrg usually post on Twitter, or in general, what are our content pillars, so to speak. Well, we have 5 of them. The first one is original content, things that we builders produce. For example, this very workshop is one of them. It will be uploaded on YouTube, and this works as a valuable piece of content because someone may want to know about Web3 and content production, and they will find it on YouTube, and they will not only get what they're looking for, which is a tutorial like this, but also they will know about dOrg, and it's a win-win, right? Another kind of content is partnership content. Like I said, is a great amount. Is a great way to post content because it's 2 accounts instead of 1 that are posting. We get to retweet what Polydrop's doing, for example, or Gelato and dOrg get to partner and do a podcast, for example. Anything goes, and the audience is twice because as it's normal, because it's two organizations posting as one. And also we can tweet about the tools that we develop, the milestones that we achieve. So anything that's been going on with the client, that has been done with the client, goes. Next is well-provoking conversation, trying to spark up discussion about specific Web3 tools. Again, this is very specific, that is very niche, but this is what we're aiming. We're not really trying to post extremely relatable content and shareable only, because the things that we do and the people that work with us and the clients that we have are very specific, in a very specific niche when it comes to technology development and whatnot. So it's okay every now and then to post a tweet with a word that's kind of hard to understand or a meme that not everybody will get, because what we're looking for is for certain people, organizations, and DAOs to get, and that's kind of what we're aiming towards too. So yeah, next is promoting relevant events, anything that we're going to participate in, or maybe a partner is going to participate, or maybe a builder is going to participate in. We promote them, anything related to Web3 development, like the ETH conventions, whatnot. Also, obviously, something that we want to communicate to our audiences. And last but not least, we can comment about technical news, about updates. We can comment about changes that our partnerships go through, and just keeping everyone in touch and updated on everything potential partners and current partners. And next, this is the last part of the workshop, which is the user guide for Web3 social media. This came on the all hands meeting as a suggestion that they shouldn't be only focused on dOrg, but also on us as users and how we get the most of social media when it comes to Web3 development, as as professionals or builders. And I thought it was a very good suggestion. So we're getting into in depth, with that, only with a couple of slides, but I think there are a few tips that are very valuable there. So let's get to it. Is what are Web3's most popular digital communication channels? I divided them into three categories. The first is the mixed content digital channels. The second one is the video, social media, communication channels, and then we have the blogging, social media channels. For the mixed, I listed Discord, Twitter, Telegram, and LinkedIn. For video only, YouTube. And for blogging, we have Substack, which is the orange flag icon. And then we have Medium, which is that black sphere with three white dots, in case you don't recognize it. So yeah, Discord, as you know, is the cornerstone with Twitter of all of three. It's usually used more of an internal tool, but you can follow basically any Web3 projects. Discord, of course, if you're a builder and you're participating into, you will have access to different channels. But the Discords are there, and it's incredible tool to keep in touch with everything pretty much. And Twitter, well, as you may know, is much more of a fast track for news and for networking and whatnot. Twitter is that it may not be as serious sometimes, especially the sources when things come up, and especially with free where not everything is regulated and the sources might be a bit sketchy. But if you want a lot of information and you know how to curate it and following, the people that you know who to follow, then obviously it's the option. Telegram is used more of as a one-sided channel option sometimes for some projects. They use it to communicate updates and different changes that the tools are going through, and also for customer user service. If you have questions or whatnot, they can also attend to them via Telegram, just like they can do via Twitter DM, which is a different way, but the objective is the same. And LinkedIn is used, as a professional hub. It's much more corporate. It's much more serious when it comes to everything related to Web3. But I think it is very useful. It obviously, is more focused on Web2 and traditional way of doing business, but there is a niche that's being exploited when it comes to Web3 on LinkedIn, and there is a hub there that has that has value for everyone, and you should definitely check out. When it comes to YouTube, well, there are tutorials, there are master classes, all sorts of lectures, and it's basically the same kind of content that you might find on Twitter, but obviously in a video format and much more thorough. Yeah, it may not be as good to get feedback and comment on anything, but if you want to check out a tutorial or something like that, then YouTube most likely, it's there, And then the blogging social media, which are Substack and Medium, as I mentioned before, they are very straightforward. They're used for articles, pretty much, newsletters of different projects. They have their own channel. and they post their tool updates. Their everything is pretty much on different entries. They have sponsorships. They support news, and I discovered them pretty recently and have learned that they are both extremely easy tools to know about pretty much anything, right? So make sure that you have both, because important and relevant projects maybe are in one of them but not in the other. And dOrg is the perfect example. We have Substack, but we don't have a Medium. Maybe a very important project has Medium and doesn't have Substack, and so on. So yeah, as you may see, some of the most important social media channels are here because they aren't as relevant as you may think. For example, TikTok or Instagram, they're super useful for socializing and laughing and being entertained, but they are not very useful when it comes to Web3 because the content there is just simply not as good, and the platform is just not being used by the people that we need them to use, which is the main difference when it comes to Twitter. That is a mixed content social media, but we have the Web3 kind of set there on Twitter, not on Instagram because it's mainly a pictures, video based, short video based platform. So they're usually not there. They're usually on another kind of channels that are the ones that are explained on this slide. And last, this also comes from a suggestion on the all hands meeting, is that someone asked for tips on how to use social media efficiently and effectively, and I wanted to make this slide also very straightforward. So I gave a couple of valuable tips, in my opinion, for each channel. The first one is Discord, and the first one will be avoiding following too many channels. Sometimes I see some people that when they share their screens, and you can see their Discord is filled with all sorts of Discord channels, and it's easy to lose valuable information if you're following 50 channels. So my recommendation would be to follow the ones that are important. And the second tip is very related to this one, which is to make sure to have a secondary account if you use Discord for gaming. That way you avoid wasting time. If you see a mention or on your guild or whatever channel, it's easy to get lost and wasting time there. So I would separate both of the accounts, one for professional and Web3 use, and the other one for gaming only. That way you have all your information separated, and there's no temptation to waste time picking out Discord of your favorite game, or maybe even if you're picking up on an altcoin or something like that, it can distract you from valuable time that you can be using for something else. So when it comes to Twitter, the first tip is lists are your friend. This is a very underrated and not used as much feature as well. I think when it comes to Twitter, is that you can create lists with the users that you find appealing, and you can categorize them, or you can also follow other users' lists as long as they are public. You can create your own private list. For example, what we do with some of our clients when it comes to marketing, we create lists with competitors or people or accounts that we find important, and we make a list with them, a private list. That way they don't know we're kind of storing them or following their steps and whatnot. And we have a timeline that's valuable content only, 100%. We don't get distracted by news or by friends tweeting or whatnot. And the second tip is very similar to the second tip that I gave when it comes to Discord, is to have a second account. You can have a Web3 account. You can have 3 accounts, one for trading and altcoins, one for Web3, and the other one, as a personal account to share with your friends and whatnot. So if you separate the accounts, there's 0% of chance that you will be distracted by content. So when it comes to Telegram, it has a very good use, which is it's a great way to detect possible scams, which is tip number 2, but also it's filled with spam channels and things you want to avoid. So you have the 2 things right there on Telegram is people giving you, garbage content, and also people telling you which projects are possible scams before you invest on an altcoin or buy an NFT or whatever. The Telegram community is, known for taking care of each other and having each other's back. So yeah, as long as you avoid the spam channels and bots and whatnot, Telegram can be a great way to keep in touch with a community of users for different projects, not only like the admins or the builders or whatnot, but also it's very user built. So they create their own, communities on Telegram, and it's a great way to stay in touch with all the updates, not only from the organizers or the founders of a project, but also from the users. So that's also very good. Then we have LinkedIn. The first tip is, well, it's not only a tool to look for jobs, but it's also very good for networking. It's great because everyone's there, in one way or another. At least people that's working on Web3 and taking it seriously is there because they usually have a background on corporate or Web2, and they had to have, LinkedIn, so they've just kept it. So if you're looking for team members or just actually getting to know some peers or making connections, LinkedIn I think is very underrated because it is backed by their CVs and all the things that they've done before. While Discord and Twitter may be too casual for that, this is a bit more serious. So yeah, I basically gave you tip number 1 and 2, which is a lot of Web3 devs are there. You may think they're not, but they are there, and it also has a much more personal touch to it because sometimes in Discord we can see people and we can really see the schools that they went to, and I know that goes against the spirit of Web3 a little bit, but sometimes it's cool to put a face on the username and to know a little bit of their background, and if that's relevant to you, then obviously LinkedIn can offer that. And last, we have the tips for YouTube. We have that you can turn on the notification for valuable channels. When you're watching a video, you can turn on the bell that's right there, and because time is key on Web3, and sometimes may catch a video that was released a few days later, and it's too late because now you have to catch up with everyone else. So make sure you have a core, set of channels that you turn on your notifications so you can always stay in touch as soon as they post, and you can be the first one to get the news and the updates and whatnot. And just like Twitter lists, playlists when it comes to YouTube, it's a feature that can go a long way. This way you can privately or publicly group videos that maybe are not from the same channel, but they talk about specific topics. And you can group, for example, if you're trying to know about smart contracts, you can make a very robust playlist with tutorials about smart contracts and give them to the new team member that you have. And you can sort of do an all stars, when it comes to like the tutorials, because they can be from different channels, and they can also be private just for your eyes only, or you can share them. And yeah, this way you also avoid being distracted by, I don't know, any kind of YouTube video, because as you might know, these channels, especially Twitter and YouTube, are filled with great content that can be very distracting. So playlists and lists, just filter them, and you can create timelines filled with valuable content without the risk of being distracted by any of this content. So yeah, now we've covered both sides of social media, like how you can be a part of dOrg's social media content, and how you as a user, as a regular person or builder, can get the most of social media channels with these very short and very straightforward tips. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me, or maybe we'll talk 10 minutes or 15 minutes about anything you want related to digital communication channels. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have prepared for today.
Oh, that was really interesting. Thank you, Diego. Well, are there any questions for him?